One day in the Paleozoic. Why you won't survive the monsters of the Permian period. You open your eyes. And the air tastes wrong. Not bad. Not polluted. Wrong. Like breathing the inside of a greenhouse that's been sealed for 1,000,000 years. Thick. Wet. Heavy with oxygen. About 30% of it. Compared to the 21% your lungs were built for. Your first breath feels like a gift. Your second feels like a warning. The sky above you is the right color. Blue. Clouds. Sun. Everything your brain expects from a sky. But the sun sits differently, slightly closer, slightly angrier. Burning at a world that has not yet learned to ignore it. You're somewhere in what will eventually become Russia. The land stretches in every direction, flat and rusted and alien. Covered in vegetation that your eyes keep trying to identify and failing. Those aren't ferns you recognize. That's not a tree. That sprawling canopy that looks almost like a pine, it's Glossopteris. And it's been dead for 251 million years. Or rather, it hasn't been born yet. You haven't been born yet. Nothing you know has. Welcome to the Permian Period. 270 million years before your morning alarm. You stand up to fast. The oxygen hits you like a mild drunk. A dizzy warmth behind your eyes. A slight pressure in your temples. Hyperoxia. Too much of a good thing. Your body was calibrated for a leaner atmosphere. And this one is generous to the point of toxicity if you're not careful. You won't die from it immediately. But it will make you feel slightly euphoric, slightly overconfident, slightly stupid. 3 things that will absolutely get you killed today. The temperature reads somewhere around 38°C, 100°F, and the humidity wraps around you like a soaked blanket. This is the Permian at its height, before the extinction that will erase 96% of all marine species and 70% of all land species, in what geologists will later call the Great Dying. But right now, before the dying, everything is alive. Aggressively, impossibly alive, and none of it cares about you. You take a step forward and the ground sinks slightly beneath your foot. Red mud, rich with sediment, the kind of ground that holds footprints for millions of years, which is the only reason you even know this world existed. You're walking on the fossil record before it becomes the fossil record. Then something moves in the brush ahead. You freeze. It's about the size of a large dog, low to the ground, moving with a deliberate, reptilian patience that you immediately recognize as predatory calm, the kind of stillness that only moves when it's ready. It steps into the clearing and you see it fully. Titanophoneus, or something close to it. A therapsid, part of the lineage that will eventually produce mammals, produce primates, produce you, but right now it's 80 kilograms of muscle and teeth wearing a face that hasn't decided whether it wants to be a reptile or a wolf. Its spine is arched. Its eyes are fixed on you. It has no fear of you because it has never learned to have fear of anything shaped like you. You back away slowly. This is the correct instinct. You back into something. You turn around. Dimetrodon, 5 meters long, 250 kilograms. The sail on its back stands nearly a meter tall, catching the morning heat like a solar panel, because that's exactly what it is. Dimetrodon is not a dinosaur. Dinosaurs don't exist yet. It's a pelycosaur, a synapsid, an evolutionary experiment that predates the terrible lizards by 40 million years. It has been warming its blood in the sun for the last hour. It is ready. Its jaw produces a bite force of roughly 500 newtons, and it opens that jaw now. And the inside of its mouth is very pink, very wet, and full of differentiated teeth, incisors, canines, the early evolutionary novelty of not just having one kind of tooth, and it is looking at you. The way you look at lunch. You run. You are, objectively, fast for a primate. You can sprint at about 24 kilometers per hour on flat ground for short bursts. Dimetrodon can reach 15 to 20 kilometers per hour and tire quickly. This should be a victory. But the ground here is not flat. It's root-tangled and mud-suckled and you go down hard on your third stride. Palms sliding through red sediment, chin nearly catching a rock. You scramble up, keep moving. The Dimetrodon doesn't chase you far, you're small, you're fast. And it has learned through millions of years of evolution to conserve energy. It stops at the edge of the clearing. You run until your lungs burn with all that oxygen, until the euphoria curdles into nausea. And you collapse behind a cluster of chordate trees, ancient conifers, tall and strange. Their bark smooth as old bone. You are here for one day, roughly 16 hours of daylight. The question isn't whether something will try to kill you. The question is how many things, and whether you'll learn fast enough to stay ahead of them. You take stock. No tools, no weapons, no fire, and even if you had a lighter, The 30% oxygen atmosphere means fires here burn hotter and spread faster than anything you've encountered in your own time. A campfire in the Permian isn't warmth and comfort. It's a decision to burn the forest down. The vegetation is drier at the edges and the wind is already pulling northwest at roughly 20 kilometers per hour. One spark, you won't make that mistake. No food you can identify with certainty. No clean water you can verify. No shelter, no high ground, no landmarks, no tools, no allies. What you have, your intelligence, your hands, your upright posture, your knowledge of biology that none of the animals here could dream of. These should be advantages. They are, until they aren't. You find a stream within the first hour by following the slope of the land downhill, which is the same rule here as everywhere else. The water looks clean. It probably is clean. No industrial runoff, no agricultural chemicals, no microplastics. But your immune system was built for a world teeming with specific bacteria and pathogens that co-evolved with mammals over millions of years. The Permian has its own microbial landscape, ancient, alien, utterly uncharted by your immune system. You drink anyway. You have to. Dehydration will kill you faster than bacteria. You'll regret this in approximately 6 hours. But you don't know that yet. The morning belongs to observation. You watch a Moskops, the large, blunt-headed plant eater the size of a cow, built like a barrel with legs, graze through the tree line without a care. It weighs around 500 kilograms and has the blunt, crushing teeth of a committed herbivore. Harmless, you think. You've watched enough nature documentaries to know that herbivores are dangerous when cornered. But Moskops doesn't seem cornered. It seems profoundly unconcerned with your existence. The rule here, you're beginning to understand, is that nothing is concerned with your existence. You are not scary. You are not impressive. You are a 70-kilogram upright primate with no claws, no venom, no armor, no impressive display, and a warning coloration. To every predator in this ecosystem, you look like medium-sized prey with confusing behavior. To every herbivore, you look like a small, irrelevant nuisance. You are, by every ecological standard, a bottom-tier organism. This is humbling in a way that's hard to describe. By midday, the heat reaches 40 to C in the open ground. You found shade. You've eaten something you identified as an early seed fern's reproductive structure, calorie-dense, and vaguely nauseating, and you've watched two separate predators work through the same clearing, both ignoring you because you held still and stayed low and smelled, apparently, just strange enough to require caution. This is where things change. You stop reacting and start thinking. You realize the predators here operate on clear patterns, heat-dependent, most active in the morning before the temperature peaks, retreating to shade by early afternoon. Dimetrodon is ectothermic adjacent, its cell-regulated body tied to ambient temperature. Too hot, it slows down. You map this consciously, storing it. The window between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. is yours. You use it. You find a rocky outcrop facing northeast, sheltered from the prevailing wind, high enough to see 40 meters in every direction, with only one accessible approach. It's not a fortress, but it is geometry working in your favor, which is the closest thing to a fortress your intelligence can build without tools. You pull together branches, dense, heavy cordate wood, and arrange them into something vaguely resembling a perimeter. Not a wall, more like a signal to yourself, a boundary. Inside here, I see everything coming. Outside there, I don't. You are solving problems your ancestors won't have to solve for another 270 million years. You feel, briefly, like the most competent person in history. Then the stomach cramps start. The water? You knew it was a risk. You made the calculation. The calculation was correct. Dehydration would have killed you, but the microbial load in that stream contains organisms your gut has never encountered. And by the third hour of the afternoon, your abdomen is a tight, rolling disaster and you've lost what little caloric progress you'd made. This is how it gets you. Not the monsters. Not the heat. A drink of water. You spend an hour crouched against your rock wall, shaking, sweating out fluids faster than you can replace them, watching the tree line with eyes that have gone slightly unfocused. The irony is sharp. You are in one of the most oxygen-rich, biologically abundant environments in Earth's history, and you are being killed by it one invisible organism at a time. Your hands are shaking by late afternoon, but you're still thinking. That's the difference. You realize the mistake was the water, not the act of drinking. What you needed was to boil it. What you needed was fire. And fire, in this atmosphere, is a controlled demolition. The rule here is, every solution creates a new problem. More oxygen means more fire. More fire means faster spread. Faster spread means losing the only shelter you've built. But a small fire-contained, brief, mineral-bordered, is survivable. You've watched enough sparks die on wet ground. You know the physics. You find to quartz-bearing rocks within the outcrop. You gather the driest fronds you can identify, small and isolated, cupped between flat stones like a miniature heart. The sparks come on the fourth strike. The fire catches small and mean and perfect. You hold a cupped leaf of water over it, improvised, ridiculous, effective, until it boils. You let it cool. You drink. It is the best water you've ever tasted. Small dominance. Genuine dominance. You beat the Permian ecosystem with a rock and some fronds. And 270 million years of inherited problem solving. You feel the shift, not pride exactly. Something older than pride. The quiet animal satisfaction of winning the moment. The late afternoon belongs to you. You move with more confidence now. You've mapped the predator patterns. You know the thermal corridors. The areas of open rock that stay hot and draw the sail-backed hunters to bask. You avoid them. You stick to the shade corridors. The paths that run between tree clusters where visibility is high and escape routes are multiple. You watch a hunt. Titanophoneus bringing down a juvenile mosscopes at the water's edge. Fast, efficient, terrible. The therapsid's teeth are purpose-built for this exact moment. It takes 11 seconds from first contact to the end. 11 seconds. You count them. You're already learning from something that hasn't evolved language yet. The rule here is, watch everything, copy what works, discard what doesn't. You find more food by late afternoon. Picopterous spores, dense with fats and carbohydrates. Identifiable by the feather-like fronds of the tree ferns. You eat carefully, small amounts. Enough. You're not thriving, but you're not dying for about 90 minutes. As the sun drops toward the horizon and the heat becomes bearable and the afternoon predators return to shade, you are genuinely surviving the Permian period. You have shelter, water, calories, orientation, pattern recognition, a vague territorial claim on 40 square meters of a world that hasn't learned to be afraid of anything like you. Then the sun goes down. This is the thing no survival instinct prepared you for. The Permian night is an ecosystem unto itself. The temperature drops 14 degrees in 40 minutes. Your shelter, adequate for shade, is catastrophically insufficient for insulation. You're not dressed for to foresee. You're dressed for a morning that no longer exists, in clothes that were never designed for this. The humidity that was oppressive at noon becomes cold damp at night, the kind of chill that gets inside your joints, and reminds you that your species evolved for savanna mornings and temperate winters and not this. And then the sounds start. Not the sounds you expect. Not the sounds of dangerous things. Silence, actually, a deep, geological silence broken only by wind and the distant percussion of something large. Moving through water, the silence is worse. Your brain, wired by millions of years of evolution to interpret night sounds as a safety system, has nothing to process here. Everything is unfamiliar. Everything triggers the low warning frequency at the base of your skull. You cannot sleep. Your core temperature drops. You burn calories trying to stay warm that you cannot replace. By midnight, estimated. By the stars you don't recognize in constellations that won't form for millions of years. You are running on nothing. The infection from the water has been manageable all day. Now, in the cold, with your immune system stretched and your body temperature fluctuating, it blooms. Your gut is a war zone. Your legs feel distant. The small cut on your palm from your fall this morning, you barely noticed it, is red-rimmed and tight, infected by something your antibodies have never cataloged and cannot fight. This is the decline. Not dramatic, not sudden, just a slow arithmetic of losses that compound faster than any single threat. You are cold, infected, dehydrated, calorically deficient, sleep-deprived, and immunologically overwhelmed, and you have been here for 14 hours. The Dimetrodon didn't kill you. The Titanophoneus didn't kill you. The Permian ecosystem killed you the way systems always kill things that don't belong. Gradually, through accumulation. Through 1,000 small incompatibilities that only become lethal together. By the 4th hour of darkness you're shaking in earnest. The clarity you had this afternoon, the competence, the calm pattern recognition, the small brilliant fire, it's fading. The hyperoxia that was manageable when you were well is unbearable now. Your breathing is labored. Your head pounds. You can feel your heart working too hard. You make one last intelligent decision. You pull your shelter materials as tightly around yourself as they'll go and you face east, toward where the sun will rise in approximately 2 hours. You know, somewhere beneath the fever haze, that warmth is coming. That if you can hold the line until sunrise, the temperature will climb. Your core will stabilize. The predators will resume their patterns and you'll know where they are. If you can hold 2 hours, there's a version of this where you survive another day. You hold 1. The thing that finishes you isn't a predator. It's a Mesosaurus, a small, semi-aquatic reptile, barely a meter long, that has wandered from the water's edge to investigate the heat of your dying fire. It doesn't attack you. It doesn't eat you. It simply climbs onto your outstretched hand in the darkness, drawn by warmth. And the bacteria on its scales, ancient, specific, completely undefended against by anything in your immune system, enter through the cut on your palm. You don't even wake up. There is a version of Earth that existed for 50 million years before it ended in fire and poison and mass extinction, and in that version, life was terrifying and abundant and ancient, and it had solved every problem it needed to solve to survive in exactly the world it was in. You were never in that world. You were a visitor carrying the assumptions of a world 270 million years away, carrying the arrogance of intelligence without the wisdom of adaptation, the knowledge of biology without the immunity to match it, the capability for fire without lungs calibrated to the air that feeds it. You were the most intelligent organism in the Permian period. It didn't matter. The world doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards fit, and fit is not something you can think your way into. It's something 270 million years of survival has to build into you. 1 generation of suffering at a time. The Permian didn't hate you. It simply never learned you existed. And that, in the end, is the most terrifying kind of hostile environment. Not one that wants you dead, but one that doesn't notice you at all. The sediment will cover you in 6 months. In 270 million years, someone will find the shape of your bones in Russian rock and wonder what strange animal this was. Upright, toolless, alone, so far from anything it knew. They will not be wrong.